Okay, joke. Two friends meet in the street. One of them really looked sad, almost on the verge of tears. So his friend said, well, hey, friend, how come you look like the whole world's caving in on you? Sad fellow says, well, let me tell you. 3 weeks ago, an uncle died and left me $50,000. He said, well, that's not bad at all. He said, hold on, I'm just getting started. 2 weeks ago, a cousin I never knew kicked the bucket and left me $95,000 tax-free to boot. He said, well, that's great. I'd like that. He said, well, last week, my grandfather passed away, and I inherited almost $1 million. He said, so why are you so gloomy? He said, this week, nothing. We're a bit fickle, aren't we? We have one bad week, and we feel the right to complain, don't we? Yeah. Here's another one. You want another one? No? Yeah? All right, 2 guys and a union worker go fishing. And all of a sudden, Jesus comes walking over the water to them. They're all astonished. Gets there, Jesus walks and gets in the boat. And they're all like, wow. They don't say anything. Everybody's just stunned. Finally, first guy says, humbly, he said, Jesus, I suffer from back pain really bad. I took shrapnel in Vietnam. Could you help me? And Jesus says, of course, my son. And he reaches over and touches his back, and instantly he's got relief. Second man, thick glasses on. He says, well, since you did that, Jesus, I have horrible eyesight. And Jesus just smiles and takes his glasses off of him and throws them in the lake. As soon as they hit the water, he can see just perfectly. Third guy, Jesus turns to him, smiles at the union worker, and the guy holds his ends up. Get back, Jesus, don't touch me. I'm living on disability. Is that enough? Y'all don't want any more? Had somebody saying that was lousy. No. Okay, have you ever heard of the large blue butterfly? It's a fancy name. Let's see if I can write it down for you. It's spelled different ways, different places. It's predominantly in England. Very interesting butterfly. The butterfly is beautiful. All butterflies are beautiful. And pretty good sized butterfly. And it's blue. So most of the blues are relatively small. This is a large butterfly. What's interesting about this butterfly is that when it's first born, it's in its larvae state. It has a really weird thing it does. It has to have ants to survive. So it emits this smell, this juice that the ants cannot resist, the local ants in England. And the smell of it is just like them. And so they go to this little creature and they lick up this juice and it smells just like one of them. It even makes noises that the ants make. So if you can listen really closely, you'll hear it make the noise of the ant, and it emits the smell of the ant, and the ants eat on this thing. Now, after the ants eat some of this juice it's emitting, it suddenly forms this bulb at the top of its head. It ends up looking just like the ant's larvae. So the ant thinks it's its own larvae because it smells like them. It's great. And they pick it up and they carry it back all the way down in their ant bed. This is not make-believe. This is real. So it takes it down the ant bed, which is exactly what the larvae wants and the worst thing that the ant could possibly do, because it is a predator. In this state, in the pupa state, it then turns and eats the ant's pupas. By the time it is finished, it'll eat 500 to 1,000 of the ant's pupas, okay? And then it'll emerge, growing so much larger. It'll emerge, and the ants will leave it alone the whole time. And it'll emerge, this beautiful butterfly, out of an anthill. This is a case of you think it was good for you, and you got it, and you took it home. And then you said, maybe I shouldn't have got that. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. Let's go, if you will. I want us to start over a little bit. Read Ecclesiastes 5, verses 8, 9, and 10. At least verse 8, 9, if you will. Somebody, we kind of talked about that, but I want to move past that pretty quick. If you're willing to read. Anybody willing to read? If you want me to, I'll read, but I mean, I'd rather you read. But I need you to read loud because this thing goes out on the internet. There you go. Wait a minute, you don't have your glasses. I was back at the back trying to hand you a set. All right. Yes, sir. This is all some of the best little truths that, I mean, there's nuggets everywhere here, right? One of the most important ones he starts off with, if you're looking for justice in this world and everybody to treat you just right, you shouldn't have been born. Because it's not going to happen. There's injustice everywhere you look. Don't marvel at it. Don't go, oh, there's crooks in politics. That's the meaning of the word politic, right? So you say, well, don't vote for the other side. They're a bunch of crooks. Yeah, and your side is too. It's all crooked. It's just crooked every which way. That's why we call it politics. And their mouths moving as somebody's saying something that ain't true. And if you expect getting business and people are always going to stick to their contract, if you're a student in school and you think every teacher is going to treat you right, you need to wake up. It's just not true. So when it comes to money, people do bad things. And if you think you're going to, and then the next big thing that comes out, if you think money's going to bring you happiness, what should you know? Come on, tell me somebody. Why want it? You'll want more? Yeah, it's exactly right. In fact, that's basically what verse 10 says. The more we have, the more we want. It's kind of like that, isn't it? I mean, you thought, when did you think you actually arrived? Name the year that you got all you wanted and you were through. Never want a new toy. None of y'all actually buy anything on the internet, right? What's the name of that? Amway? No, Amazon. Yeah. Same thing. So, really, I don't buy stuff on Amazon, by the way. I don't buy stuff online. I don't buy much of anything anyway. So. All right, so somebody want to read verse 11 for us? You know, that's really a strange thing. The more we have, the more we end up having to spend. If you have a house in the mountains, do you have to go there? Yeah. Does it have maintenance issues? Of course it does. If you have another house on the sea, do you ever have to go there? Yeah. Does it have maintenance issues? Well, if you're on a lake, I don't know about the ocean, but if you're on a lake, you got mildew issues. If you don't go there and clean it, you're going to regret it because it'll mildew in that house. And I'm just telling you, having lived on a lake. So no matter if you've got 2 homes, you've got double work. You know, and you can only drive 1 car at a time, I've noticed. And you can only sleep in 1 bed at a time. You know? Have you managed to drive 2 at once? Put all the mileage on hers? Good idea. That's a good idea. So the more you have, the more you spend. Have you ever spent so much you never wanted to spend any more? Maybe because you ran out. But if suddenly, here's the truth. If suddenly somebody gave you $1 million, in your wildest imagination, could you think of anything you might spend it on? It's always something, isn't it? Pay us all the bills you could. You'd spend it, probably. And if you didn't spend it, you'd invest it. Same thing. It ends up, I mean, it's not the same thing, but it's the same thing. You have things you'd like to do. And investing is a really good idea, by the way. Somebody want to read verse 12 for me? Any of y'all got stomach troubles? It is true. Don't eat before you go to bed, generally. Don't sleep very well. But the more we have, the more we tend to worry. You say, well, I'd like to have that worry. But it is true. I know it doesn't feel true when you don't have a lot, but it really is true. It just creates more things you have to worry about. Someone want to read verses 13 and 14. Now, of course, he's not saying this happens to everybody. That's not what he's saying. He said, I've seen this. I've seen people accumulate a bunch and lose it all. You ever seen that happen? Did you live through 2006, 2007? A lot of 401ks went upside down during that, didn't they? People lost their homes. You remember that? How many foreclosures? You remember that? I think it was like 1 in 7 was a foreclosure around here. That was crazy. So it happens. You can lose it all. And the more you have, the more you've got to lose. If you're poor, right? Let's just imagine all you got is clothes on your back and the stock market goes upside down. What have you lost? Maybe a few less handouts at the intersection. That's about it. You're going to probably be able to eat. Why? Because we got too much food in America anyway. Look at us. I mean, we got plenty of food in America. There are no people starving in America because we don't have enough food. Not in America. There may be many places in the world people are starving to death because there's not enough food. But in America, so far, I haven't seen that. So, less you have, less you got to lose. If you don't have, it's like this. The bad thing about what you got to lose, if you're down to 1 car and it's a clunker, if it quits, it's kind of difficult, but it's just a clunker. It's just a clunker. All right, somebody want to read 14, 15, 16, and 17? Nobody? Okay. Okay, thanks. And it doesn't matter if you have people that are going to inherit. Obviously, it's best if somebody's going to inherit what you've got. In fact, that's accumulated wealth. Let's hope you're able to leave something to your descendants, because that helps them and it gives them a leg up. And families that stay together, that's the greatest gift we do for our families. We accumulate wealth and we spend a lot of it, but we keep some of it and we give that to the next generation. They accumulate more wealth if their family stays together, and they have more to give the next generation. And it makes it easier as it goes along. That's the benefits of a solid family staying together. That's what that does. That's why you want to keep your family intact. It's one of the reasons. It's for the sake of your children. But in this case, he's talking about there's nobody really to get it. And so it's really quite sad. He loses it all. There's nobody to get it, or he leaves it all to no one. The truth is, though, the more you have, the more you just leave behind. It's kind of like, when Solomon really had a reason of believing this. I mean, look who Solomon left his wealth and position to. Do you remember his son? Do anybody remember that story? Jeroboam and Rehoboam? Remember this? So, basically, Solomon had a doofus as a kid. Man's a doofus. He's got all this wealth, and he basically ruins it all. He ruins it all. Let me give you an idea of how much wealth Solomon had. Turn to 1 Kings 10 and verse 14. Those of you who are into numbers will appreciate this, because this might give you insight into who the man of sin is. 10 and verse 14. I didn't say it does, it just might. 1 Kings 10 verse 14. Somebody want to read it? Interesting. You know how much that is on today's market? This is his base pay. This is not all he got. This is his base pay. $1.6 billion a year. You think you could make it? I think that's a lot of trips to McDonald's. $1.6 billion a year. He had a throne. It was made of pure ivory. Right? Well, that was good. And then he overlaid it with gold. So it's ivory underneath, gold on the top of that. I don't know exactly how that looked. The guys who guarded him, the key guys, whenever, you ever see Shaka Zulu? So his guys, he had 50 of the guys who protected him. They had their swords. They all dressed nice. So a king tends to have guys who basically protect him. We have the Secret Service now. Back in the day, they had, swords, and they had shields. The shields that the guys that protected Solomon were all gold-plated. So you walk into his throne room, gold's everywhere. Even the men guarding him are gold-plated virtually. And he's making $1.6 billion a year base pay before anything else. Okay. So now, do you think he's in a position to say what he's saying about money? I think he knows something about money, doesn't he? So here's what he said. You can't take it with you. And you're going to have to leave it to somebody. And you might end up leaving it to a kid that you think's so smart, and he's going to do such a good job, and he may be a knucklehead when it comes to money. He may blow through it, and it may be gone. Well, that's virtually what his son did. Rejected the offer of Jeroboam, working that deal out. Let's cut back on the taxes. And he said, no, I'm going to make it twice as thick. Yeah, right. And so the country was divided. So beware, if you think, well, I'm saving it up and then they'll be wise, they probably won't be as wise as you hope. And they'll probably end up spending some of your money on stuff that you would never spend your money on. Relax. It's okay. Somebody want to read verse 18 for me? Okay, great. Did you read all the way through 20? Okay, I can't tell because it's a different version. Yeah, go for it. So a couple of things come out of that. You know, everybody to some degree is financially affluent, believe it or not, because God has blessed us with the gift of earning money. That's a great gift. You know, not everybody has it, but almost everybody has it. You have the ability to hold a job, to make money, to come up with a gadget idea or something. There's something within you, and you can make money. And that's actually fun. I don't know why it's fun, but working is fun. It's miserable at times, but having a job and working is fun. I think it's partly fun because we get bored so quickly. I mean, I'd rather have a job than sit and watch somebody who has a job. You know, wouldn't you? I want to be doing something. I mean, you can't live watching a television, and you can't live doing this. You know, there's more to life. You need to be active. So earning money is a good thing. And then he suggests that it's a gift to enjoy the money. So after he said all these negative things about money, one of the things he's saying is you're supposed to enjoy it. It's not wrong. If you got a little money in your pocket, you probably do. Some of you are going to go out to eat. Probably a lot of you are going to go out to eat. You should enjoy it. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. God built us. Let me tell you what he could have done. He could give us no taste buds. Okay? Nothing to smell with. Now imagine you had to eat. You can't smell it, you can't taste it, but you know you got to eat, because if you don't eat, you're going to get sick and die. You know what's going to happen? A lot more people can get sick and die. So he made it where we enjoy it, right? And you know how you can tell it's not good for you? It tastes bad. If it tastes bad, it's not good for you. I don't care what they tell you. Yeah? You can tell your wife that and quote me, and that means nothing in your house, but go for it. So that's, what? Okay. No more. Yeah, be careful. We'll quote you. So, yeah. I mean, really, enjoyment is a good thing, right? You know, we don't go swimming because it's evil. It's because it's fun, right? You go fishing. Well, some of you go fishing because it's fun. Some of you play golf, which I can't figure out at all, because you consider it fun, right? You do things that are fun. All right, so eating is fun. Having a little money is fun. You can have fun with it. Name something you do for fun. Give me something, people. What's one of your funnest things you do? Golf can't be on the list. Dance. Wow, that's cool. Play music. Okay. What? Scuba dive. I didn't know. Okay, he's optimistic, isn't he? What else? Give me something else. That's very dance, play music, Are you talking about like on a computer? Because I like it to do that. Doesn't that make your fingers sore? Ride motorcycles. Don't you consider that dangerous? And you love it anyway. It's probably not as dangerous as dancing. What was it? Scuba diving. It sounds... Anybody else? Sew. Is it needle and thread? Or a machine? Machine. Okay. I can't imagine that that would be fun. I can't even get that in my head that that would be fun, but I'm glad you enjoy it. Reading. Reading and what? Singing. Okay. Reading and singing. I don't know. I don't. What? I don't watch it. I don't watch it. I don't watch football. Everybody thinks I watch sports. I don't watch sports. I don't like movies anymore. I've been watching Downton Abbey. I've been watching Downton Abbey lately. Does that sound... Snow skiing? I'd never be able to stand up. I'd spend 99% of my time on my back. It looks like fun, except it also looks very, very tiring. I saw the other day where, did y'all see that? Did you see where the thing you sit in, the gondola, whatever it's called, the seat, that one, they started flying. And I mean, they were literally ripping around that corner and slinging people off. Something went really badly wrong. I don't know what it was. People were going in the air and telling them jump, the jump. They were jumping at 20 feet out, just jumping because it was, you don't want to get into that. Did anybody see that? Am I the only one that saw that? You saw it? So I'm not lying, right? If John says it's true, it's true. Thanks, John. At least we know it's true. So what else? Anybody got anything else they like to do just for fun? Build stuff, like with wood or concrete. So you really enjoyed working on your porch. Huh? Gardening. That's a good one. Sorry? Quilting. That's great because that's going to other people. That's awesome. Most of the time it goes there. What was over here? Playing with your grandbabies. Wow. Yeah, I must say that I get into that too pretty good. Mine's sick today and we wouldn't let them come. So there are a lot of good things to enjoy, are there not? And money helps provide that. It is not wrong to remodel your house. It's not wrong to buy yourself a new dress. It's not wrong to do nice things for yourself. What is bad is when it's only about you. What? I've never seen you in a dress, so I wouldn't know. Well, I'm grateful, by the way. Okay, so let's just a little further here. Let's start in chapter 6. Let's make a shot at verses 1 and 2. Somebody want to take that on? Verses 1 and 2. Do what? He does. I'm grateful. And you know what I'm grateful is he didn't mention golf a while ago. Do you play golf, Keegan? Yeah? Do you get depressed if you don't play golf, Keegan? Yeah, it's okay. You know that the guy that made Ford, what was his first name? Something Ford, right? Henry, that's it. Henry Ford. That he had a terrible stomach problem. And he probably did exactly the wrong thing for it from our perspective now. And he drank milk and ate crackers. And he just about couldn't stand to eat anything else. Probably that was the absolute worst thing he could do, knowing what we know now. But he couldn't enjoy life. And his stomach hurt him all the time. The man that was so wealthy, had it all. Yeah, isn't that something? Sometimes you just can't enjoy the thing that you think. Somebody want to read verses 3 through 6 now? Go ahead, Keegan. You can finish up there. 3 through 6. I know you want to read. Your wife said so. Well, that's depressing, isn't it? Man, you're going to pass out razor blades after that. So I'm like, but there's truth in what he's saying now. A lot of truth in that. I mean, what good is life if you're not enjoying it at all? You need to learn to enjoy it a little bit. You say, well, wait, I'm a Christian. It isn't about enjoying it now. It's about the next world. That's the thing that bothers me a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand part of that. But there's a part of that makes me kind of nauseated. It's like going into a church building that they intentionally made it look cheap because they didn't want to spend money on the building. Because spending money on the building is worldly. And we should be in ugly buildings. Don't look at me funny, because I've seen people who think that way. That padded pews are wrong. That air conditioning is virtually wrong. There was a time when we didn't have air conditioning. Y'all remember that? You had hand fans. Anybody remember the hand fans? Does anybody remember getting up out of the pew and feeling like part of you was still in it? Oh, and the hand fans were all from the funeral home. Yes, I remember that. Hey, they were pretty, though. They'd have a nice something on there. And didn't have ceiling fans because that would be, didn't have screens on the windows. You remember? Mosquitoes would come in and, yeah. But there was a thought that to be extravagant was wrong, right? All right. We're going to have to quit there. Let's not think that way about everything. That's Solomon's illustration. Let's end with a prayer. Pray with me. Holy Father, we're grateful for the way that you've taken care of us. Help us to realize that money is not evil. Help us to realize that having it is a blessing. Help us to be careful with it. Help us to not let it become our God in place of you. Help us to use it for good, both in our own life and the lives of others, and be a blessing to those around us. And please help us to learn to enjoy life and realize that we can have a good life and then have a great life in the next world. Bless us through this week. It's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.